Hi, good morning, you guys. So, on this channel, we recognize that there are good people and traumatized people of both genders. This is not a channel where I allow people to dog on men or dog on women. But this is what I want to talk about today about the large number of people who have determined that the opposite gender is always bad, always out to get them, always mean and abusive. Um, and I want you to be aware of people who do this, who make these blanket statements that all women are cheaters, all women are out to get ya, all men are abusive, all men are cheaters, all men are going to hurt you and abandon you. Like, this is just a story. It's when people take their own pain and project it onto the entire population. There are good men and good women, and there are also many bad ones. So we have to be careful who we let into our lives. That's the important point. It's not to be like aware of everyone of the opposite gender. And I'm thinking of a couple different things that have come across my radar recently. One is the guys who tell me that the Manosphere has helped them so much. You have to be careful in the Manosphere because most of those guys in there hate women. They've been hurt by women, and so their strategy is all women hurt us, but we want women. So we're going to use them for sex, just the young, vulnerable ones, and spit them out because women cheat and abuse and you can't trust them and they're going to hurt us. That is so much bullshit. The main things that these men have to learn is heal their relationship with their abusive mother and figure out why they attracted this type of woman. They have to figure out why they attracted this type of woman. And a lot of these guys are actually people pleasers that are drawn to abusive women. These women were abusive and cheaters long before these guys came along. And these guys went for something familiar, like their abusive, neglectful mothers, and were fawning. And they finally realized they can't fawn, so they went into a defensive abuse strategy and they became the predators. The world is full of loving, nourishing, honest, accountable women who will add to your life. Okay, now we also have, the main thing that men really need to know is don't fawn for women. Don't be a people pleaser. If you're a people pleaser, fix that shit. And be accountable, responsible, and emotionally regulate yourself. And be a person that adds to the lives of people around you. Like the guys on the Pivot podcast, traumatized men who belittle anyone who crosses their path. A confident man is going to build up the people around him. He might bustle and kid around here or there, but he's not going to gang up on someone so much younger on his show. Okay, so, like if you look at someone like Joe Rogan interviewing someone, he gives the guests the floor. He treats his guests with respect. That's what you want to look for. Okay, but there are a lot of women who gang up on men. And particularly, I'm thinking about a woman called Priscilla, the Queenmaker, I think. She's a very butchy, beautiful woman who uses her intelligence to trick people into thinking that all men are bad. She comes out and says that men do not know how to love. Women know how to love. This is her whole spiel. And I've seen her in a couple of interactions with her daughter, and it broke my heart because she's very condescending to her daughter. Like, get out of here, mom's doing a podcast kind of a thing. she's a wounded woman who hates men. I'm sure they've heard her. Okay? So she comes out and says, men do not know how to love. And she tries to be very convincing. I'm not going to play her clips. I don't want her. I don't need people coming after me or people going after her. But I'm just pointing out that there are women like her who've written books and who try to convince you that all men are bad. She says that men will just take from you, that women are the givers, that women give our bodies, that we clean, we cook, we're nourishing, and men just come along and plunder us. And in the African American community, there's a lot of that going on. But that doesn't mean all men are bad. Certain cultures, including my own Iranian culture, the men come from a culture where they disrespect women. And these women in some of these cultures haven't found their power. But, okay, she says that all men are bad and only women know how to love. But yesterday I came across a crime. This mother killed her 2 kids and took off. What about Mommy Dearest? Joan Crawford, very abusive mother. What about Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrand, current child abuse cases going on in Utah? What about Corey Richens, who killed her husband? What about Amber Heard? The world is full of evil, bad women, and the Manosphere can give you more about these bitchy ex-wives who cheated on them. These are bad women. The guys in the Manosphere were abused by these women. Women who cheated on them, women who were nasty in the divorce, or I'm going to get ya, take all your money, not trying to be fair, turning the kids against the dad. Women who kill kids, women who are abusive, women who are just nasty. Don't tell me that women know how to love more than men. I have heard women talk about how they were finally get over their abusive childhood because a loving man entered their life. One is, what is that lady whose videos I was watching? Just a second, I have to tell you. Oh yes, the YouTuber Melanie Hamlet talks in so many of her videos about how her husband is the more empathetic one, has the bigger heart, is so loving, and has taught her that there is such a thing as love, and that she's still trying to open her heart to match his level of love. Years ago, I read this book, Choosing Me Over We, written by Christine Arylo, who was in an abusive relationship with a man who was abusive. And after she left that relationship, she met another man who was so loving, so kind and loving, that she was with at the time I was taking this course. I don't know if she's with him now. I haven't looked her up, but that he taught her how to love because he was so loving. So don't tell me that men don't know how to love, and don't tell me that all women are bitches. That is very harmful. And in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's called black and white thinking, or also in therapy, we call it projecting. So I was hurt by a dog, therefore all dogs hurt me. And it's very limiting. It's very limiting. Now, when I see comments like that on my channel, I mute the person, because this is a channel about exploring things and bringing things forward in like a realistic way. And there is no evidence that all men are bad or all women are bad. There's no evidence for that. So I'm not going to allow drama and pain and trauma to be relived on my channel. So that was the main thing I wanted to make this video about, is that there are good people in both sexes. And I think what's really helpful, and what helped me a lot, is to think of examples of good women and good men that I actually think are emotionally healthy and responsible, and to keep those people in mind as examples of good people rather than just dwelling on the assholes that have hurt us or betrayed us or caused us pain, is to focus on the good people so that we can have like a sense of optimism about humanity and draw more of those good people into our lives. Because I think what we focus on is what we attract. Now, if you were to ask me what percentage of people are good versus causing pain, and I don't know, this is what I'm curious about. Is it like 20% of the population is healed? Is it 80%? I don't know, because the people that are causing pain, they're not always doing it on purpose. They are coming from their own level of consciousness, based on their own trauma, their own pain, their own limited abilities, and their own willingness to look at themselves. Typically, people who are on the grandiose, entitled side, where they are like walled off, entitled, they don't want to change, and they won't. I'm talking about guys who are cheaters, guys who are abusive, women who are bitchy, like people who very easily get angry and try to diminish other people. I'm even going to include like pedophiles, abusive men. These people are very difficult to change, even if they go into therapy. However, those of us, and I will put myself in that category at times, that were more in the one down position of being like a people pleaser, someone who's more conciliatory, what's my part? How can I improve this relationship? How can I make things better? How did I cause this? Why is this happening? How can I improve the situation? Those of us who are more introspective, we have a really good shot at improving our lives, because we're curious and we want to improve our lives and our relationships. And that's why a lot of these guys who are people pleasers can easily be helped when they overcome their people pleasing. In this category, I put Dr. Robert Glover, author of No More Mr. Nice Guy. In this category, I put the author of The Dead Bedroom Fix. And these are men who've talked about how they were people pleasers and their wives cheated on them and they learned to find their backbone. So it's about, I'm not going to people please, I'm going to make better choices. So those people can really step up and improve their lives. But the abusers, the best thing to do with these guys is to just avoid them, y'all. Because you cannot change them. And to look at, why am I attracted to someone who's abusive or who neglects me? And that has to do with not realizing that you deserve better, that you're stuck in a pattern, and that there's something attractive about this pattern. So instead of blaming the opposite sex, you guys have to look at yourselves. And that's what I had to do about my marriage. Thank God I picked a pretty decent guy, but he was walled off, emotionally walled off, and he's like, no, I'm not dealing with emotions. I'm not going to deal with your sexual pleasure. I'm not going there. He was like that. And so I had to look at why I picked someone like that. Instead of saying all men are walled off, no men care about my pleasure, I had to look why I picked someone like that. Who didn't want to change, by the way. By the way, if you want to know why 70% of divorces are filed by women, I will tell you a couple interesting facts. If you look at college-educated couples, the divorce rate is only 10%. But the reason that women are more likely to leave is because we're the ones saying, we got to improve this relationship. And it's the uneducated men who are more likely, in my opinion, to be like, I'm not changing. It's these uneducated, low-quality men that charm women into marriage. And then the women finally go, I can't take this anymore. I cannot take your entitled, abusive, walled off behavior. I am out of here. because these guys will not go to therapy. And these men are not fighting to keep the women. So that's why I think women usually file for the divorce, because we are more interested in healthy relationships. That's why women write relationship books. That's why women read relationship books. It's very rare for a man to read a relationship book. Those men of you who are watching, how many of you have read a book on how to improve your relationship compared to your wife? How many of you have read a book about how to be a better partner, how to be a better lover compared to your wife? And then look at all the men around you. It is a market for women because we are the relationship people. Now, I'm not saying all women are good at relationships, but in general, that's why women will file for divorce. You know, because we're like, we would rather be alone than put up with this. But you know, a lot of men are making that same decision too. But anyway, I just want to say that there are good men and good women. I do not know what the percentage is, but the greatest impact, I mean, I think we have to be very careful who we let into our lives as friends and as roommates and as lovers. Very careful, because these people can improve our lives tremendously, or they can tear us down. And we can die a slow, emotional, soul-crushing desert and pain by having the wrong person in our lives. So, but yeah, this video is to honor that there are good men and good women out there, and I just want to recognize that, and not to get taken out by YouTubers who say all women are bad or all men are bad. When you hear that, I just would like to inspire you to ask, why is this person so hateful towards the opposite sex? Is this really a healed person, or is this a person coming from pain and anger? And do I want to participate in this pain and anger? You know? They're coming from pain and anger. So just be careful where you get your opinions on the opposite sex, and just ask yourself if it's true that all men are bad or all women are bad. Is that true? Look at real life. Look at your friends. Look at people you know. And ask yourself, is this true? And does this even make sense? And that's all I want to say about that. And thank you for watching my video. Black and white thinking. That's the topic here. Yeah. I don't like that.